In this video, we'll walk you through setting up and solving conversion problems like you will see in this introductory chemistry course. The specific examples shown come from the Practice FQ1 handout. In order to be successful with this unit, you need to know the definitions of the metric prefixes that we went over in class. These need to be memorized. You also need to know how to find the English to metric conversion factors in your reference table. This first example has us convert 54.309 feet into centimeters. The first thing that we want to do is to look at the units we have and the units we want. Feet are an English unit of length, and centimeters are also a unit of length, but in the metric system. When you're converting between the English and metric systems, you'll need one or more conversion factors from the green reference sheet. If we look at the reference sheet in the section for length, we find several relationships involving feet. We can convert feet to yards, feet to inches, even feet to miles. Each of these conversion factors stays within the English system. Which one do we want to choose? Well, it may depend on the next conversion factor that we choose. Since we want our final answer in centimeters, we need a conversion factor that gets us from the English system to the metric system. We notice that there's a conversion factor between inches and centimeters. So if we use the conversion factor between feet and inches, and the conversion factor between inches and centimeters, we'll be able to solve this problem. Let's rewrite these equalities out again. So we have 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters, and 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. After writing out the equalities that you think you will need, you want to write the two possible conversion factors for each equality. You might be able to skip this step later on, but for now, it's good practice. Remember to write the conversion factors. We just take the equality, put one side on the top and the other on the bottom. We then flip the ratio over to get the other possible conversion factor. We can do this for each equality that we write. Remember the purpose of writing the conversion factors. Since each conversion factor is taken from an equality, they have the value of 1. Whenever we multiply something by 1, we don't really change its value, we just change the units that it's written in. The next thing that we want to do is to write down our given information with its units, 54.309 feet. Then we'll choose conversion factors from our choices above to convert the units we have into the units we want. Since we're starting with feet in the numerator of the fraction, we want to choose one of the conversion factors that has feet in the denominator. So we'll choose 12 inches over 1 foot. Again, since 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, this conversion factor has a meaning of 1. Multiplying the 54 feet by 1 doesn't really change its value. But what it does do is allow us to cancel the feet units. Any unit divided by itself is equal to 1. Next, we want to get rid of the inches and get our final units of centimeters. So we'll choose this conversion factor that puts the centimeters in the numerator and the inches in the denominator. Again, this allows us to cancel inches and give a final answer in centimeters. Next, we need to perform the mathematical operations on our calculator. In this case, we'll multiply 54.309 times 12 times 2.54. Our calculator gives us 1,655.3382. We should check to see if this answer makes sense. Since we're converting from feet to centimeters, and we know that centimeters are a smaller unit than feet, our final answer in centimeters should be a bigger number than our original answer in feet. And 1,655 is bigger than 54, so this seems to make sense. The next thing that we want to do is to determine the place value or number of significant figures that we should report in our answer based on the rules that we've gone over in class. Since in this problem we're multiplying and dividing numbers, we'll use the rule for significant figures. In this case, our given information had 5 significant figures. Remember that captive zeros are always significant. We have an English to English conversion factor of 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. This is a definition and so has an infinite number of significant figures. Normally, conversion factors between the metric system and the English system, like centimeters to inches, would be shown to a specific number of significant figures. However, we see from our reference sheet that this conversion factor is actually exact. So this also has an infinite number of significant figures. The rule says that we should use the smaller of the given information. So between 5 and infinity, 5 is smaller, so we want to write our answer to 5 significant figures. So we want to report 1,655.3 centimeters. If you want to write this in scientific notation, you could also show it as 1.6553 times 10 to the third centimeters. Remember to check your answer to make sure it has the proper value, the proper number of significant figures, and the correct units. This next problem asks us to convert 7.089 times 10 to the minus 2 liters into microliters. Again, the first thing that you want to do is look at the units you have and the units that you eventually want. Liters are a metric unit of volume. Microliters are also a metric unit of volume. They just have a prefix. To convert between liters and microliters, you need to know the definition for the prefix microliters. These definitions need to be memorized. In this case, 1 microliter is the same as micro means 10 to the minus 6. 10 to the minus 6 what? 10 to the minus 6 liters. It's very important to get this equality correct. Remember that microliters are very small. So 1 microliter is just a fraction of a liter. After you have the equality that you need, you write the 2 possible conversion factors from that equality. You might be able to skip this step later on, but for now, I suggest that you do it for practice. So we'll take 1 microliter over 10 to the minus 6 liters, or 10 to the minus 6 liters over 1 microliter. Next, write down the given information with its units. In this case, we have 7.089 times 10 to the minus 2 liters. Choose the appropriate conversion factor to cancel the units that we have and get the units that we want. In this case, since we have liters on the top, we want to choose the conversion factor that has liters on the bottom and puts the microliters on the top. So we'll choose 1 microliter over 10 to the minus 6 liters. This will allow us to cancel the liters because any unit divided by itself is equal to 1. Next, we want to perform the math. In this case, we don't really need to use a calculator because we're only multiplying or dividing powers of 10. So we have 7.089 times 10. We want to take 10 to the minus 2 and divide it by 10 to the minus 6. When you divide powers of 10, you subtract the exponents. So our exponent is going to be minus 2 minus a minus 6. So we'll have 7.089 times 10 to the negative 2 plus 6 gives us 10 to the 4. And again, we want to show our final units of microliters. The last thing that we want to check is whether our answer has been reported to the proper place value or number of significant figures. Since again in this example we are multiplying and dividing, we use the rule for significant figures. Our given value had 4 significant figures. Our metric to metric conversion factor had an infinite number of significant figures. This means we should report our final answer to 4 significant figures, as we have done already. Our final answer is 7.089 times 10 to the 4th microliters.